Good morning.
It is.
It's a wonderful morning. We've talked before about getting in the vortex, getting thrown out, milking it when you're in the vortex. Recently, you've been talking about the constructing and deconstructing thoughts and what that does, how that affects you, and how it affects your ability to be in the vortex, stay in the vortex. And I'd like to work with that more. I've done very well and been thrilled with how I feel, how I'm doing, and I want more. I'm very selfish. And so I want to see the deconstructing thing seems a little odd to me, because usually something that I recognize, if I have a thought that I recognize is not beneficial for me, I try to change my focus and not worry about deconstructing it as I'm understanding it. So I'd like to hear more.
Theoretically, that's a very good process. But the reason that we began talking about actually changing your habit of thought relative to some subjects that are lingering, like the subjects of God and sexuality would be two good ones to work on, is because people have habits of thought that stay right where you last left them. In other words, certainly it is logical and possible to get so good at focusing on other things that you change your whole vibrational frequency so you can't go back and have those thoughts again. But on some subjects, whenever you think of them, because they are so poignant in your vibration, just when it comes up, triggered by a song or an event or even a fragrance or a conversation, you often go right back to where you are. And so it's accurate to say that your vibration is where you last left it. And some things that you worked really hard to work into a really resistant place require a little more focus to get them into a different place. You can't just ignore it away because it has a strong enough foothold that it's going to keep coming up. But that's only because most people offer most of their vibration in response to what they are observing. So as you're observing it and it happens, then there it is. But what you're talking about is accurate. If you are able to ignore it and you are consistently feeling good, then that's a good thing. The conversation about deconstructing thought has evolved since then in some recent seminars, and this is the way we are explaining it now. And we think this will give you the precise answers that you are looking for. When you are outside your vortex, meaning something's got your attention and you're not feeling good, the more specific you are about this unwanted thing, then the further from your vortex you are and the worse you feel. Now that's not a bad thing, because the further from your vortex that you are and the worse you feel, the more rockets of desire you're putting into your vortex, but that only makes the separation between who you're being and who you really are stronger and stronger. So you can't keep that up very long without really feeling uncomfortable. And usually something happens that gets your attention that causes a refocusing. So the more specifically negative you are, the more resistance, the worse you feel, and the more manifestations are showing up to be evidence of that. So the process is to be specifically negative, because right now, this red hot minute, you can't help it. Something's happened, it's got your attention, you're focused upon it, you're talking about it. But as soon as you come into awareness that you don't feel good, and you come to the remembering that you're wanting to do something about it, if you will now make an effort to feel better, you can. But if you say, I'm just going to jump all the way over into this specifically positive from specifically negative, you're not going to make the jump. And then the answer is, well, then I'll just ignore it. Well, if you are able to just ignore it, that's a good thing. Usually you're not really able to ignore it. So we're recommending that you go general. You go negative, general. Because you can't go positive. It's too big of a jump.
Too long,
so,
right?
For example, do you have something you want to talk about specifically?
No, there wasn't any specific.
So let's say that someone in your experience has upset you in some way. Maybe it's someone you work with or somebody who works with you, and they have performed in some way that is unpleasing to you, has been going on for a while, and it's a pattern in your life, and people are letting you down a lot, and so you're finding yourself sort of ragging about that and complaining about it, and maybe talking to somebody over lunch about it, and they're saying, yeah, that's just how it is in the workplace, and you really can't get good help, and you know what happened to me? You're not going to believe this, but this is what went on in my office yesterday. Can you believe that? Oh, well, I've got a better one than that. Yet this is what went on, and this is what went on, and so now you're really specifically focused, and now you hear someone at the table next door that's kind of talking about the same thing, and now your order isn't coming because you can't get good help, and because they haven't hired anybody that can do any and now when the food comes, it's not the right order. It isn't even what you asked for, and what is there isn't prepared well, and now you're out of time because you've got to be back to that place that you don't want to go. And isn't life hard? And shouldn't it be a lot better? And aren't I really ready for a vacation? And I'm having a really hard day, and so specific, getting worse. None of it very serious, but annoying at most. And if you keep it up, then you start attracting all sort of ramifications from work. Then the next thing that usually happens is you start making mistakes, you start being less effective, you start behaving just like all of them, which annoys you even more, and then you realize that it's their fault that you're ineffective, because if they were effective, you wouldn't be so ineffective. If they would do their job, then it wouldn't be so important for you to do your job. So now we're getting carried away with this because we're getting it from all of you. In other words, you've all lived some of that. So then you say, but you catch yourself somewhere along in that, and you say, this isn't getting me anymore. And about the time that it's starting to really manifest right now in your red-hot experience, and you're wise enough to realize that, hey, these manifestations are coming fast on the heels of this conversation. In other words, you get what you think about whether you want it or not, you say to yourself, and I'm really not wanting a continuation of all of that, so I think I will go positive. Can't make it, it's too big of a jump, been ragging too long, all right, I'm just going to get more general about it. Well, stuff happens. And you don't always get everything you want this red hot minute. And sometimes you just have to sort of relax and let things come. And things are not that bad. They could be a lot worse. I've worked in a lot more uncomfortable places. And the stories that you told me are much worse than the stories that I was telling. And so things are not as bad for me as they could be. And actually, I'm happier in this environment than I've been in other environments. And I don't feel like this all day, every day. Sometimes something just happens that exaggerates it and makes it feel more. Now, can you feel that we're still not positive, but we are less specific and more general, and it's starting to feel just a little bit better. And from generally negative, you can move into generally positive very easily. In fact, some of that we already did. Things are getting better, and I don't have to control it, and I can sort of ignore it if I want to, and I don't have to make a big deal over things. And there are a lot of things that happen at work that are really going along very well, and generally speaking, I'm quite satisfied with what's happening, and I'm actually making a bigger thing out of it than I really need to, but it's not wrong for me to make a big thing out of things because I'm progressing. I'm wanting things to be better. I want a really well-running environment, and I want people around me to be happy. I want them to feel good in the work that they're doing. I want to feel good in the work. There's nothing that I'd rather do than appreciate people. And I'm realizing more and more that it's not their job to be appreciatable before I appreciate them. I'm getting really good at appreciating, and it's sort of fun to watch the influence that I can have over things when I get into the right mode about it. And so this thing that just happened this morning that got me all out of whack, actually I can see as a beneficial thing because now I don't feel so out of whack, and I'm sure I put plenty in the vortex about it, and it would be fun to watch the way this unfolds. It's going to be fun to see how this plays out now that I'm feeling better. And now that I'm feeling better, I'm not even sure what I was so much complaining about, because right now I can't even find those negative details. They're just not available to me anymore. It seems to me that I was making a sort of big hairy deal out of nothing. Didn't need to do it. I was playing a strong negative what-if game. I was parlaying something that didn't matter into something and making it a lot bigger than it needed to be, and I don't know why I do that. Don't need to do that anymore. Life's really going well for me. I'm eager to get back there and see what manifestations have matured or evolved as a result of this conscious, deliberate deactivation by means of reaching for the more general and then the more general positive. And there you are. We have experienced on many occasions someone sitting in the hot seat who has something really specific and really justifiable negative to worry about. And as we visit with them for a little while and show them the process, and especially as we get them involved in doing it, because as Esther's discovered, she can say, Abraham, will you help me move? And we can always help her move, but it isn't, in other words, we can bring her into where we are, but it doesn't necessarily change her habit unless she does the moving.
Okay.
She's discovered she has to do it. She can't just sit and have a chat with Abraham. We're always in the vortex. And sometimes we can talk long enough that she will come to it, but it's much better for her to make the movement, because when she deliberately makes the movement, it sticks. When you deliberately make the movement, you change the vibration enough that, so we've had people in the hot seat where we've helped them to move, or they've done it themselves with our encouragement. And then we say, now what was it you wanted to talk about? And they draw a blank. They cannot even remember the issue because it's just not active that was bothering them so much. It's not present in their vicinity. It cannot be part of their manifestation of what is. Isn't that interesting?
Fabulous.
Your mind can't even find it. It's sort of like, you're trying to remember someone's name. Don't try too hard. They're probably not up to speed with you. Because if they were in the vibrational vicinity, you'd be blowing and flowing about them. In other words, you'd be thinking about them. But when you're trying really hard to remember that thing, I can't remember. What was it I was going to say? Have you ever had that experience where you're just waiting for your turn at the dinner table to stick in your negative story? and then all of a sudden it goes out of your head. Because your inner being is blocking the signal. Not really, but you have achieved vibrational alignment with something that doesn't include that story. Don't try to retrieve it.
Very
Helpful?
good. Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed. Stand if you think it's you. Further over. Stand if you were on your feet. Yes, come forward. Wait. Further back, yes. This must be a very crooked finger. Sometimes we point over there and they come from over there. Now Esther is wearing a wireless mic. We can come and get you.